My name is Mike McDermid, and I am the coordinator of the Ocean Wise program at the Vancouver Aquarium.
So, Mike, the reason why I'm here today, I want to ask you a few things about the situation that's happening that we know mostly from Oregon and California. We heard that there's a fishing ban for salmon especially. So I would like just to hear the comment that you might have on this.
Well, as many people are aware, there are a lot of issues facing wild Pacific salmon right up and down the coast from California up to Alaska. But more so, I think, in when you look at Washington, Oregon, California, we started highlighting some of these problems that we have with Pacific salmon and the management of Pacific salmon. And one of the issues that has come up historically that we're only now really starting to realize the impact of is a lot of the salmon streams along the coast have been damaged by different types of construction, whether it be for homes, whether it be for dams on rivers, whether it be for building logging roads and having culverts through the river. A lot of these have impacted the salmon-bearing streams, so whether they block them completely in the form of dams, or whether the construction and the building of roads has caused siltation to flood into the creeks, which makes the salmon stream not suitable for salmon to reproduce in. Salmon are very particular about the size of gravel that they like to spawn in.
Okay.
It has to be a pea-sized gravel so that there's lots of oxygenated water flowing through the gravel for those eggs to develop. And once you start getting a lot of sand and dirt and dust into that river, definitely more south, but is a situation even further north of Washington, is overfishing. And in recent history, we've had a lot of fishing a lot of overfishing in Washington and California and Oregon, which has caused a real depletion in the salmon stocks that are there, let alone what's happened on land. I think so, and I think that it is a dramatic decision. But one of the things that this is one of the things that have made Pacific salmon one of the most stringently managed fisheries in the world. Is the basically management has shown that they are willing to shut fisheries down if things aren't looking good. And that's what's happening now. It may have taken a number of years for us to get to that point where we have to, because there's a lot of political pressures, there's people that need to feed their family, there's a lot of situations where government has to get involved in order to make this something that is easy for everybody to deal with. There's a lot of pressures involved with salmon, obviously, and a lot of people making their livelihood on it. But I think that what it shows is that there is a real keen interest by fisheries managers and the government to protect our wild salmon stocks. What we're starting to realize now is that salmon are not only very important to us as a food source, as a protein source, and have been traditionally for many thousands of years with the First Nations on our coast, but we're also starting to realize how much influence salmon has on the local ecosystem. When we understand how many animals out in the ecosystem rely on salmon for food, whether it be resident killer whales or seals or sea lions or other fish, but now on land, because the salmon are coming upstream to spawn and their carcasses are being pulled into the coastal rainforest by wolves and bears and eagles, and a high percentage of the nitrogen that's found in those forests we can actually discern is from the ocean and comes up into land and fertilizes those forests as salmon carcasses. So now the question begins, how much influence do these salmon have on our coastal ecosystem? Does this mean if we lose our salmon stocks that we lose our coastal rainforests? Great question, and I think there definitely is as strong management in the States as there is in Canada, and the government's very, very active, I think, in trying to regulate fisheries, especially with respect to salmon. Like I say, it's one of the most critically or stringently managed fisheries in the world. They do a very good job of monitoring how many fish stocks are present, counting fish that come up the stream, and having a good idea of the population. The problem is with salmon is that salmon comes not only from year to year, but from species to species, from stream to stream, and there's so many factors that influence whether a stream or whether a run is going on. It's very, very difficult to predict until the fish arrive at the stream how many fish are going to return, and we saw that more coming up all the time up here in Canada. We have Sea Choice is one that does the wallet guides that people can take with them into grocery stores or restaurants and have an idea of what is a good option and what is a bad option. And then with Oceanwise, what we wanted to do was just to make it as easy as possible for consumers to know what is the best possible option they can choose. So with Oceanwise, essentially, we work very closely with restaurants and we help the chefs make good, sustainable purchasing decisions, basically do the homework for them and let them know what the information is. And then the chefs highlight those best options right on their menus for consumers. So when you go into the restaurant, you look at the menu, you see the Oceanwise logo, you know right away that's the best possible option that you can choose. And through doing that, there's a couple of benefits. One, that the restaurants become kind of a conduit to help inform people about what is a sustainable seafood choice. So the aquarium can kind of affect this many people. I think we get about 1 million visitors a year coming through the door, but with all of our restaurant partners, we greatly expand that ability for outreach and education. The other thing that I think is an amazing benefit of having restaurants involved is that chefs have the ability to change people's traditional tastes. So they have the ability to get people away from traditional choices like maybe tuna or salmons and get them to try some things like BC sardines, which are fantastic, but not a traditional choice that we would normally make. And most times we think of sardines as opening up a can and pulling out this greasy little thing that doesn't look very appetizing. But fresh BC sardines is a fantastic. What I'm finding now is that a lot of these groups doing this important work on sustainable seafood, and that includes someone like a Marine Stewardship Council, which actually certifies fisheries as sustainable and goes very in depth on the fisheries, and government are starting to become engaged. So with Oceanwise and the Vancouver Aquarium, we've started to kind of reach out to all these other groups and vice versa. They've reached out to us. And what we're trying to do is all get together and work together on an entire sustainable seafood kind of sustainable seafood community, so that we have industry that's involved, fishers and farmers that are involved in wanting to make sure that they're doing things the most sustainable way possible, government involved and engaged so that they can ensure that that is viable for industry to create these sustainable options, and obviously to have sustainable options right here in British Columbia. So the BC Government Ministry of Environment has been very engaged in this and trying to make sure that our fisheries are sustainable and that we get the word out there that they are. And then having restaurants and retailers involved just makes it so much easier for the general public. I think it's very clear that the general public wants to do the right thing. It just has to be sufficiently easy. I liken it kind of to recycling. If I had to go 8 miles every time I want to recycle anything, it probably wouldn't happen as often.
Situation globally, I would say.
Well, I'm really optimistic about that, to be honest. One thing that we've seen with Oceanwise in the very short time that we've been running the program, only 3 years, we've just seen the amount of chefs locally that have been really keen and really want to get a part and make sure that all their options that they're offering people are sustainable. It's just been snowballing. I mean, people have been, we've gone from having 16 restaurants at the end of 2005 to now 290 restaurants at the end of 2007. So that's just check us out on our website. That's www.oceanwisecanada.org. That's the best way to kind of learn a little bit more about the Oceanwise program. And what you can do on that is order an Oceanwise restaurant directory, and it tells you all of the businesses. It separates it by location, so you can keep that in your glove box or in your bag or in your pocket. And whenever you're out for dinner, just check into that, and you'll find the restaurant closest to you that's serving Oceanwise sustainable seafood options. That's the best way to get in touch with us, I think, is through the website. And there also is a spot there that you can send us an email if you have any questions or comments.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Mike.
You're welcome.